Herbert True, a marketing specialist at Notre Dame University, found that 44% of all salespeople quit trying to sell at the prospect after the first call. 24% quit at the second call, 14% quit at the third call, and 12% quit trying to sell their prospect after the fourth call. This means really that 94% of all salespeople quit after the fourth call, but 60% of all sales are actually made after the fourth call. This revealing statistic shows that 94% of all salespeople don't give themselves a chance of 60% of the prospective buyers. You may have the capacity, but you also have to have the tenacity. To be successful, you have to ask, and ask. As one of the students of Jack Canfield said, you have to become an asshole. So after a few years, Sylvia Collins flew all the way to Australia, to Santa Barbara, to take one of Jack's week-long seminars, where she learned about the power of asking. A year later, Jack received this letter from Sylvia. I'm selling real estate developments on the Gold Coast and work with a team of guys, mostly in their 20s. The skills I've acquired through your seminars have helped me perform and be active, a part of a winning team. I must tell you how having self-esteem and not being afraid to ask has impacted this office. At a recent staff training, we were asked what we'd like to do for our once a month team building day. I asked Michael, the managing director, what target we would have to reach for us to take on and get an island for a week. Everyone went silent and looked at Sylvia. Obviously, it was out of everyone's comfort zone to ask for such a thing. So Michael looked around and then said to me, well, have you reached so-and-so? I'll give you the whole team, that's the 10 of you, a trip to the Great Barrier Reef. Well, the next month we reached our target, Sylvia said, and went off to Lady Elliot Island for 4 days. Airfare, accommodations, food, and toiletries, all paid by the company. We snorkeled together, we had bonfires, beach parties, played tricks on each other, and we had so much fun. Afterwards, Michael gave us another target and said he would take us all to Fiji if we reached it. And we reached that target that December. You have nothing to lose, remember, and everything to gain by asking. To be successful, you have to really take risks. And one of the risks is willing to take that rejection. Here's an email Jack Canfield received from Donna Hutchison, who heard him speak at our company's convention in Arizona. She says, my husband Dale and I heard you at Walsworth Convention in early January. Dale came to one of our spouses' meetings. He was particularly impressed, but you mentioned not having anything to lose and asking and trying at least. After hearing you speak, he decided to go home for his lifetime goals, his heart desires. He had football coach. He had a football coaching position in mind. He applied for 4 openings within the sales territory. And Serbian High School called him back the next day, encouraging him to fill out an application online. He did so right away, and he could hardly sleep that night. After 2 online interviews, he was chosen over 61 other applicants. Today, Dale accepted the position as a head coach of the football team in Serbia, Florida. Thank you for your vision and inspiration. A year later, Jack had heard from Donna again. Having taken a program with back-to-back sessions of 1 win, 9 losses, and a reputation for giving up, Dale led the Serbian high school team to a winning record, including games that were the team had come from behind to win the final 3 games of the championship. Not only that, Dale had also coached the team to the county championships in the playoff. For only the 3rd time in the 78-year history of the school, this had been achieved. He was named County Coach of the Year and Sports Story of the Year. Most important, though, is he had changed the lives of so many players, staff and students with whom he had worked. In 1997, 21-year-old Chad had set out on a one-man mission to clean up the Missouri River. He'd started with a 20-foot boat and his own two hands to do this. When Chad realised he would need more than a 20-foot boat, barges, trucks, equipment, he asked the state and local officials, only to be turned down, not to be dissuaded. Chad grabbed the phone book and turned to the business listings and called Alcoa. And for anybody that doesn't know Alcoa, they're the biggest aluminum producer probably in the world. Because he said, it started with an A, so I thought I'd phone them first. Armed with all his passionate commitment to his dream, Chad asked to speak to the top guy in Alcoa. Eventually, they gave him $8,400. Later, working his way through the A's, he called Bush, as reported in Smithsonian Magazine. Mary, the director of the environmental outreach of this company, remembers her first conversation with Chad this way. Chad said, "Will you give me some money?" "Who are you?" Mary replied. "I want to get rid of some garbage in the Mississippi River," Chad said. "Can you show me a proposal?" Mary said. "What proposal?" Mary eventually invited Chad to a meeting and gave him a check for $25,000 to expand his Mississippi River beautification and restoration project. More important, Chad's knowledge of fundraising was his clear desire to make a difference. His unwavering enthusiasm, his complete dedication to the project, and his willingness to ask. Eventually, everything Chad needed was secured through asking, and now he has a board of directors made up lawyers, accountants, and corporate officers. He has 12 full-time staff members and tens of thousands of volunteers that have raised millions of dollars in donations to support the work. In the process, he has cleared up thousands of miles on shoreline of the Mississippi and 22 other rivers, removing over 7 million pounds of trash. He'd also drawn attention to the health and beauty of all the rivers and the responsibility we all share in keeping them clean. And in 2013, he was named CNN Hero of the Year. This is a guy that started with a vision and no desire and just phoned people and asked and asked and asked and asked. And that's where he ended up. Where could you do with just a fraction of that effort? So start asking today. Take time now to make a list of the things that you want and you don't want to ask for at home, at school, at work. Next to each one, write down how you stop yourself from asking. What's your fear? Next, write down what it is it's costing you from not asking. Then write down what benefit you would get if you were to ask. Take the time to make a list of what you need to ask for in each of the following 7 goal categories Jack had outlined in Principle 3. Decide what you want. Your financial, your job, your career, your fun time, your recreation, your health, your fitness, your relationships, your personal projects, and your hobbies, and your contribution to the larger community. Think about all these different areas, what you want to achieve in each one. Jeff Bezos, I saw an interview with him yesterday on Matt Higgins's LinkedIn page. Jeff actually says he puts himself, this is the guy that's the richest man in the world, by the way. He puts himself in the mind of an 80-year-old when he's 80-year-old. And then he reflects back to what he's actually achieved when he's 80. And he says, is there anything that I've got and I've reached to when I'm 80? And he says, is there anything that I've not achieved that I should do now in order to achieve that by the time I'm 80? That's Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, from Amazon. Now, it's not about riches, remember, and it's not about wealth. Wealth is designed by the people round about you as well, and the community you're involved with. It's not solely just about money. Some people have true wealth, but they're the poorest people in the world, and they're happy. So do you need to ask for a raise, a loan, send money, venture capital, feedback about your performance, a referral or endorsement, time off to get additional training, someone to babysit your children, a massage, a hug, or help with a volunteer project? It's entirely within your realms, and it's entirely up to yourself. and I'll see you tomorrow.